Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name's Chris and it's fantastic to have you back with us for another video. And in today's video, we're going to have a look at Bitcoin. Lots of people talking about Bitcoin going to $30,000. A lot of people also talking about Bitcoin going to $10,000. You've got myself calling out for lower lows. I don't think it really matters whether we see lower lows or not. However, I do think we've got to come down, and it's going to be either close to the low that we saw in June, or it's going to surpass the low that we saw in June. But I'm not in alignment with the $10,000 Bitcoin personally. But there is a black swan event that I think could lead us in that direction, and I want to cover that with you in a bit of detail. But I also want to highlight an indicator that a lot of influencers seem to be ignoring. I love seeing influencers talk about saying they're not emotional and going through different indicators that basically tell you the bottom is in. But I told you the bottom would be in June, back in May. I highlighted that, and I've seen that sort of come to fruition at this point in the time of recording this video. But I'm looking at the macro environment, and I just don't think it went low enough. So I am expecting lower lows. And I see the comments. There's a lot of people saying, well, you should basically, admit now that you were wrong. I want to be really, really clear with people. I'm not saying that it's going to be in 2 days' time or a week's time. This could happen in a few weeks' time. This isn't on a short time frame. So, there's good opportunity in this market with some of the prices still being very, very good. We're doing a portfolio builder where we dollar cost average into the market. All of this stuff's happening, but I have a portion of money set aside for that day where it pulls back to those lower lows that I was, talking about basically in July, right? So what I would say is it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. Nobody's got a crystal ball. Nobody really knows. But there is a big black swan event that I want to talk about. Media isn't really giving it as much coverage, mainstream that is. And I think we will start to see it sort of come to fruition much, much more. And it will plague various different markets, in my opinion. But let me know, most importantly, what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments below. If you enjoy this sort of content, mash up that like button. It helps push out the content to like-minded individuals. We really do appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Tapping that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video. So let's get down to the desktop. Okay, so we're going to start on coin market cap. I love to start here. We're up 2.63% for the total market cap of all crypto, now standing at $1.12 trillion. Bitcoin pulled back slightly. It's up 10%, 10.44% for the 7 days. It's at 24,483.75. Now, for those of you that were like, oh, maybe you didn't get near the bottom, or you didn't get the bottom last time and you're just upset, I did buy at very, very good prices in the pullback in June. I was expecting that to be the lower lows, and I ladder into the space and ladder out, right? So look, I'm not bitter in any way. I would love to see a 30k BTC or a 30k Bitcoin. I just don't think the macro landscape is where it needs to be in order for us to see that, right? And we'll go over that in a moment. But first of all, let's have a look at this indicator. And I think it's a really interesting one. This was shared on Twitter, I believe. Now, I'm not sure who shared it, but basically what this plots out for you is the realized price for Bitcoin, right? So days that since it's basically dropped below the realized price. So what we can see here in 2014, obviously 69 days, 121 days, and 84 days, right? And brilliant, it's great. 2018, it reduced further, 133 days here. But for me, like 35 days is what we've got in 2022, according to this data. Like, it's just, in my opinion, not long enough, and I don't see anybody really sort of highlighting this in the space. So I think it's one to definitely highlight. I see a lot of people getting bashed when they talk about the prices going down to lower lows. I'm really interested to see how everything sort of develops and continues to move forward, right? Are we going to see those lower lows, or are we not going to see those lower lows? Ultimately, I don't think it matters. I think we've got to come down before we actually see those, decent gains, in my opinion. But time will tell to see what happens. But Black Swan event. So the Black Swan event for me is going to be the property crisis or estate crisis in China. Are they heading into a Lehman Brothers style crisis? Lots of companies, potentially on the verge of bankruptcy. And what really interests me here is, this has been going on for some time. Everybody, talks about 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗀, and they talk about it all being priced in already. This is far bigger than that. I think it was back in September. This is far, far bigger than just that one company, right? And it's really interesting. I mean, we've seen Asia's richest woman lose half of her wealth. It was at $24 billion, but down to 11 billion now. And this is all due to the property crisis over in China. So it is an interesting one. Evergrande, they've had their bosses, leave or quit, as articulated here. I want to just go through some of the headlines rather than read through them. I will drop a lot of these articles in the Discord. Link is in the description. It is free to join, so definitely jump in there. They've just missed another deadline for a 300 billion debt restructuring plan. This stuff is just not good news, and there will be a lot of people that are like, well, what's this? How does this have an impact on crypto? And this is the thing, right? There's a lot of people that just look at technical analysis and pattern trading and all this sort of stuff, but there's things happening around the world that are far bigger than just the crypto space in general, and will impact multiple markets. And that's why we look at the fundamentals, we look at the financial landscape, we look at a lot of the stuff that's happening around interest rates and all that stuff. I think it's really important. But this is one that, with the the war between Russia and Ukraine, China and Taiwan, this is kind of going under the radar quite a lot for me, and I don't see a lot of people really giving it the airtime that I think it really needs. So yeah, look, lots of really concerning stuff happening in China at the moment with the property crisis, right? And why have we got the estate crisis or the property crisis unfolding in China, right? And there's a lot to sort of cover off here, and I don't want to go over all of it. Again, like I say, I'll link this in the Discord. But what I would say is basically a lot of investors were paying up front for developments, right? There was a big boom in property over in China, and people were paying up front before construction even started. And a lot of these companies, what they were doing was, rather than actually plowing that money into the actual development that people are paying 30 to 50% for, what they were doing is they were going and purchasing up more land for like your next sort of development, right? And with everything around COVID and the lockdowns, a lot of the work had to stop, and basically they run out of money in order to finish the actual projects. And this leaves a lot of people sort of in a bit of a sticky position, because they have invested and there's nothing there, and the work hasn't been completed. So that's just part of it. There are people that in China that are deliberately defaulting on their mortgages just for the attention from the government, right? So lots going on, and basically property property sales could plunge by about 1/3 according to analysts. There's just so much going on, and it is really, really interesting stuff. So basically this will mean that homeowners will cut spending, postponing like marriages and boycotting mortgages, which we've already started to see. Housing market is no longer seen as a sure bet as the economy also slows. And the economy's slowing because homeowners haven't got the money to spend, and they're cutting their spending, they're postponing the marriages, events, and all of these things, holidays, you know, it all has a really, really big impact. And to compound the situation, I mean, the government over in China have always been quite vocal about, you know, not bailing out failing companies. But they're doing a bit of a Yui here and talking about bailing some of these companies out. So, you know, traditionally, where does this funding come from? It normally comes from the taxpayer. Whether it's the same in China, I'm not obviously from China. I'm not going to pretend that I know how it all works over there. But, you know, my experience tells me that, you know, the taxpayers or the people are actually going to be the ones footing the bill. That's normally what happens traditionally, particularly in the West. And that means more printing of money potentially, you know, various different ways they could go about it. And when that happens, I think, you know, we could see the crypto market as a risk asset class being heavily impacted. It's almost like a domino effect where it affects multiple markets. And you know, this is scary stuff. So I'm not trying to scare people with like this news. I just really want to bring it to people's attention because I see the markets rallying. It feels different to me than perhaps what it should be. I kind of expect to see something a little bit different happening in the space compared to what I'm actually seeing. So, you know, with all of that, you know, it does concern me, and I think it's definitely worth sort of covering it so, you know, people are aware of what's going on in the space, right? Because I see, you know, lots of people FOMOing in. I see lots of people, you know, not doing the research on it, and you know, going away. A lot of people just taking influencers' words, you know, as the truth. And a lot of these influencers haven't been around in, you know, previous recession, for example. They haven't got the experience of it. And I think, you know, that's something that, you know, needs to be mentioned. I really do think it needs to be mentioned because, you know, there's a lot of people that are making decisions based on part of a picture rather than a full picture. And that is, you know, rather concerning for me. And so just bear with me. What I am doing is I'm trying to just find something else here on my computer to share with you all. And don't get me wrong, it's a day or so old, but basically what this is you know, it's some data that Nick's put together. So whales with over 1,000 BTC, we have seen them, you know, selling off, right? And again, the sharks have done a bit of a sell off. It's gone, you know, a little bit up again with a few purchases. Obviously, the dolphins with over 10 BTC have been purchasing, but even they've started to sell off as well. So I think, you know, the activity and what I'm seeing in the market is rather concerning. I think it's stuff that we need to be aware of as retail investors, that sometimes not everything is as it seems, and you've got to be sort of keeping your wits about you. So, you know, look, I'm just, you know, expecting the prices to come down. Hopefully we will see lower lows if that happens. But at the same time, you know, I've got a good, you know, position in cryptocurrency, and I'm looking to continue to dollar cost average because I do think these prices are good. But I really want people to be cautious in the market. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. It's just my opinion. You know, but I value our community, and I want to make sure that you get to have a more rounded view of what's actually happening in this space. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button. It really does support the channel. We really do appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Tapping that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.